Hello, everyone. Gosh, it feels like forever since I have been on, and wasn't quite sure I could still do this. So these are what we are going to be making today. These adorable gnomes. And pardon the sounds in the background. My little dog isn't used to me talking during the day because nobody's usually here. And I do have my heater running. So I'm sorry for the background noise. So we've got a couple more minutes to go before everyone gets here. I know there were quite a few kits that were sent out. I quite shocked at the number, but they end up to be so cute. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Linda. I'm here too, I think, for the most part. Hi, Annette. Welcome, everyone. I'm sure excited to be here. So I'm going to set these aside. I like having them look at me and move my things out of the way. They are really cute. And the fun part is that the hats aren't attached. So you can keep your eyes open for seasonal hats and swap them out throughout the year and keep them with part of your decorations all year long. So, okay, we just have a couple more minutes. So we are getting snow today. It was supposed to warm up early this afternoon and rain, but it has decided just to keep snowing. It's not sticking, but thus my heater being on. Welcome, Julie. Glad you could make it. Yeah, I've been trying to keep my eye open for Valentine's ones, and haven't found any that have really floated my boat yet. So hang on a second. I am going to go take my little dog off the couch. I will be right back. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to get started with the big one first. And if you haven't already, what you want to do is you want to take the mop head that I sent you. And these are mop heads that are from the dollar store. They are actually on a pole, and you just remove the pole. If you want to do more of them, you just remove the pole, and this plastic cap just pops right off, and then you're left with the full long pieces, and then you want to cut the long pieces in half and set them aside. So the first thing we want to do, we're going to go ahead and start on our big one, is you want to mark your styrofoam at 5 inches. And I mark all the way around so I can connect the dots. And it doesn't matter if it's exact. So just go around and make some marks. That'll help you to keep your pieces in line when you're gluing them on. And that's 5 inches down from the top. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and connect the dots. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like when it's done. So while we have it out, let's go ahead and do the other one. And on this small one, you're going to want to mark it 2.5 inches down. And we'll just go ahead and mark all of the styrofoam. It's kind of a long process and tedious, but the results are super fun. I've sold 3 sets of them that were special order, and then I've got a few more sets that I'm doing, and I'm going to put it up on the marketplace locally. Okay, and grab the third one, and that's 2.5 inches down. And then just connect your dots. Like I say, it doesn't matter if it's exact, because it's just going to give you a guideline, and you'll see it as you're putting the pieces on. Okay, so that's done. Now you want to have your glue gun hot and ready. I've got one that's too hang on a second. Can everyone see me? Tiffany, it's going to be recorded. So now you want to start out, and I just start out and take a couple pieces and fold them in half and just set them here so you have them ready to work with. Got a couple people that weren't able to connect, but I think they got it. So this will just give you some to work with. Now, another thing that I didn't tell you that you were going to need was something to stand behind your gnomes to keep it from rolling. So I just have a couple of my clear, but anything will do. You can use a pen or anything, but just to kind of stick it behind it so they don't roll. So for those of you that just joined, we marked and are following along, we marked our styrofoam. On the big one, we went down 5 inches and marked it with a Sharpie all the way around. And with the small one, we went down 2 inches. So now we're going to start gluing our pieces on. And this is where you're going to need your poker thing, because you don't want to burn your fingers. So you just want to add a little bit of glue. I would say enough for about 2 pieces at a time. And you're just going to stick it on there. And don't worry about how tight it is right now, because as we go, we'll tighten them up. But this is where pressing down with your pokey thing is going to help. So just turn it a little bit. Add a little more glue. Add a couple of more. And just push them down. Now, you should be able to go back. Your glue should be cool enough to where you can press these in and kind of press them together. And you just want to make sure that they're down tight. And then we're just going to continue going around. Until we get to the other side. This is a good craft to do while you're watching a movie or listening to a movie. I don't typically watch, I more like listen. Every now and then I'll glance up. But go ahead and just push those down to where they're on tight. And every now and then you'll have to stop and pull the glue off your fingers because you will get a little bit on. Now we're going to fold up a few more. My little Garcia isn't used to me talking, so she's kind of freaking out. She thinks somebody's here. So we're just going to continue to glue and stick. And that's where it helps to have some of them folded, so you can get them on there right away and stick them down. Hi, June Marie and Margaret and Julie and Lindy and Tiffany. Nice looking group of ladies we got here. And now their glue guns. I know I've got a high temp and a low temp on mine. And using the high temp, when you put the glue on, you may hear your styrofoam melting a little bit when you put the glue on there. But that's okay. It's not going to melt all the way through. And it's still going to let you get your pieces glued on before it destroys it. Sounded kind of funny the first couple times, but then I realized it's okay. You just don't want it so hot that it's going to burn your fingers. So I just want to keep putting them on and pushing it down. I'm glad you love me. Now, and you'll have enough with these size gnomes with the one mop to do all three with some left over. Probably not enough left over to do another one, possibly a small one. And you can also get larger styrofoam. And if you get the larger styrofoam, I wouldn't cut your, or I wouldn't fold your in half because you're probably going to need more. But with these two sizes, it worked out perfect for the one mop head. And like I said, the mop head is the mop on the pole at the dollar store. They used to sell just the replacement heads for those mops, but I guess during Christmas and the rush on all the Christmas gnomes. Oh, and I also want to say that this is not my idea. I did not come up with this by any means. I was just searching different things in YouTube videos and saw quite a few. And so I took some bits and pieces from all those videos and put these together. So these have been made, and you can probably find other videos on them. There's some that are done with yarn that you can get, the thicker yarn, which is the same principle, but you're going to be spending a whole lot more money to buy the yarn than you are just these mops. And then the cones, you know, they can get kind of pricey at Michael's and Joann's and that, but they're readily available. Yeah, Jean Marie, you know what? For all the hundreds of them that I sold through the years, do you think that I would keep those silicone finger protectors? Nope, didn't do it. And I had made some other gnomes with felt and fun fur for a swap that I was in. And I ended up blistering my fingers with the hot glue. And I had at that point wished I had kept some of those fingers for myself. June Marie, did your gnomes arrive yet? Or are you still waiting on them? So you're just going to want to push and squish to make sure you got enough coverage. Ouch. Oh, good. So I'll just fold a few more. I don't think we're going to need all of those, but and we're going to put our pieces on all three before we continue, so we can have the glue gun part of this pretty much done. Okay. So we've got this one all glued on. So let's go on the little ones. Never really timed myself on how long these took, because you know when you're working on a project, you get up, you go get a snack, you go get something to drink, you check your email. So we'll see how long they take. All right. So on the little ones, once again, you're measuring down 2.5 inches to mark your line. And then you'll just mark down and mark and then connect your dots along as you go. Looks like a hula skirt. Let's do the hula. Ooh, doo, 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 doo. Ooh, that'd be good. We could make some hula dolls next. Wouldn't those be cute? Tropical babies. My Florida girls. So these are going to be a little longer on the smaller ones, but that just adds to their charm. And on these smaller ones, I kind of tend to put my pieces a little bit above the line, but just so that you're keeping them even, so you don't have to do any trimming when you get them all done. Yes, you'll have to come visit us in Florida. If that's where we end up, I mean, that's where we're going to head, but it'll give us the area to go down and look around and see. You know, we are from Washington, so we may not be able to handle the heat, but I just love it there. We went, and I cried when we had to leave, and so we figured that'd be a good place to go. Dan was raised in the South in Tennessee, and he has some relatives that live in the areas that we're looking at, some that we haven't seen for a few years, his aunt and cousins and that. So it's a good jumping off point, and it looks like there's a lot of work, and Dan will still need to work for a few years, but there's a lot of work in his field, and they want people with experience, and I think 35 years of experience is probably enough to get him qualified. The smaller ones seem to be harder to do. And I'm going to turn my heat down for a little bit because it is starting to melt kind of deep into the, and the one thing, you've got all these stringies. Hi, Sissy. Hi, Jackie. I have never been to Tennessee. We lived in Texas once for a few years while he was in the Army, and I told him I would definitely not live in Texas again. I didn't care for it. But I love the Florida beaches. I love the weather. I love the communities. A funny story, when we went to Florida, he was sent back there for work. And the gal that set up his airline tickets when he would go, she would always search for a companion fare so that I would be able to travel with him, because, you know, his hotel was paid, his car was paid, and the allowance that they had given him for food was ridiculous, and we could both eat off of that amount and have leftovers, and we ate good. And so she set us up for Florida, and I was so excited to go. And I said, the only thing I want to see is I want to see a gecko, which I had never seen, and an alligator. Those were the two things I wanted to see. And so the first day we got there, we got in, and we got in quite early in the morning. And so we got our car, which was this fun convertible. Mustang. And so we went and checked into the hotel and said, okay, let's head to the beaches. So we got our handy dandy map out and found a beach that was pretty nearby. And took off and headed for it. And as we were driving down one of the streets, quite a ways, and as we were getting toward the beach, all of a sudden we hear this thud. And I look up, and here is a gecko on our windshield right in front of my face, just right there. It dropped out of a tree and landed on the windshield. And my first thought was, oh my God, what's the alligator going to do? So then after that, I was fearful of what I'd wished for. Dan's looking all over. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Sissy. Gosh, it's been forever since I've seen all you guys. So, but we're looking at just different places back there. It seems to be a little more retirement friendly, and the weather seems to be nicer to where we can be out and do more, and the cost of living is a whole lot less than it is here. Our property taxes on our house just doubled this year, and it's quite scary if you're looking to retire and live on a budgeted income. Oh, well, when we finally did see an alligator, Sissy, we're looking at the Fort Myer, Tampa, on that side, the Gulf side. When we finally did see an alligator, it was because we went to a wildlife preserve and saw them in their natural habitat. And after we had visited the preserve, then we started seeing them along the sides of the roads, because you really can't just see them. So it was quite funny with the gecko, though. Ooh, 73 is perfect. Like I said, it's snowing here and the wind's blowing. And when it stops snowing, it'll start raining until probably July, I would say 5th or 6th. Not quite, but sometimes it seems like that. And I'm not a big fan of snow. I just can live without. Fortunately, where we are in Washington, we don't get a lot of snow every year. We get mittens of it. Okay, so we got all of them glued on the second one. Hi, Lois. Wow, you guys are having a heat wave up there. So let's get the third one done. I just wanted adventure. Dan and I were married. Okay, I'll just say this. I was 16, he was 18 when we got married. So we've been married 43 years. We've lived in the same house for 38 of those 43 years. We've been the caretakers of our kids, and the nephews and nieces. I was the stay-at-home daycare, and then I took care of my mom, and we've taken care of his mom and dad while they're here in the winter, as far as food and making sure they're taken care of. And you know what? Doggone it. I want some me, before it's too late. Hi, Daisy. So, this is the time to do it because, if we get any older, we just aren't going to. And right now the markets are good. Our house is completely remodeled, and I do believe we, get a fair price for it. It's ours. So how is Brazil, Daisy? It's time. It's just time. It's scary. I'm not gonna kid you there. It's like, okay, you know, um, wow, we're really gonna do this. It's gonna be fun though. And the nice part about it is that Dan's worked for this company, and talking to the owner when we get ready to go, he's more than happy to lay Dan off, so he'll be able to collect unemployment and um, have some kind of an income until he can find new work. And in all the years he's worked, I think he's had to collect unemployment for, I think it was like maybe 30 days at one point, and that was way back, way, way back when our kids were little, and I think it was even before we bought our house. So, some downtime. We're gonna jump in the car. We're gonna pack all our stuff and have it shipped. And we're going to take a couple of weeks and travel across the U.S. and see some of those things that we haven't seen before, starting with the Grand Canyon, and just map a trip and take a couple weeks and find a place to rent when we get down there and find work, and then we'll start looking at places that interest us as far as where we want to be when we retire. So that's our plan. It's wild and crazy, but sometimes you just got to do it. Oh, Daisy, you guys get rain about this time of year every year. We've thought about that too, Sigourney, and the tiny houses. But Dan said, no, I don't think so. He said, your craft stuff would take up the whole entire thing, and I know you won't part with all of it, so that's not a possibility. And he's right. Between that and his shop tools. I know, I'll have to start a blog so that as we travel and when we stop and have an adventure, I can blog about it. And I'm excited for the different kinds of food, the weather, just you know just excited. We're probably looking at, toward the end of this year, sometime in September. We'd do it earlier, but I have my Japanese daughter that lived with us for a year. Her and her son are coming back in August, and I've, already promised that we'd be here and have the family gathering and all that. So we can't go until after they've been here. So otherwise, I'd probably do it next week. Except, after living in your house for 30 some years, and I'm not a hoarder. I believe in, purging and getting rid of stuff, and, so I don't have a lot of excess. I'm not one of those that keeps all the butter tubs or, the glass jars or old clothes. I'm pretty much one that, if I haven't used it in a year, it's gone. It's a couple of things that I've regretted, but for the most part, I'm pretty cleared out. The one thing that I have to do is get rid of a few more of my crafting supplies, and you guys will see that on the clearance page in the next few months, a little bit at a time. And then Margaret Halderson's going to come over in the spring and help me have a big garage sale and get rid of a lot of stuff. So I'm starting to go through, and it's amazing, I tell you, how much excess paperwork you keep laying around, things you think you'll need, but you never needed them. Things that you've kept for 10, 12 years thinking, oh, I might need that sometime. And there it is, buried in the bottom drawer where it was 10 years ago, and you still haven't needed it. I'm going to try and squeeze one more in right there. Okay. Hi, Shar. Hi, Donna. Footloose and fancy free. Yep. We'll have no debt, no bills. Okay. So there's our 3 hula girls so far. We're going to turn them into gnomes. Now, where did I put my socks? All of you pretty much have the same set of socks. It was just easier for me to go, and they are the ones that are these. The brown and the red stripe and the tan. So those are the ones that that came with the kits. However, I already have those. So I made a special one for someone else. So I'm going to use the other set of socks, because when you buy socks, of course you get 2 socks with every pair. And so you need to make 2 sets of gnomes. Hi, Pam. Hi, Angela. Hi, Shar. So when you put your socks on, there's a couple ways you can do it. And what I do is I just tend to scrunch them up. I think I want the pink one on the big guy. So, and we put the hats on first, and then I'll show you why. So you just kind of scrunch them up, and you take your edge, and you work your edge around where you want it to be and how you want it to be. This one's kind of got a fun, loopy, scallopy type edge. So I kind of want that to continue to show. Okay, so once you get it on and it's all scrunched up, then you want to start pulling it up and seeing where you want it. And you can leave it, kind of scrunchy. I think that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to leave a little bit of just some texture down there. Okay. And then you're going to fold it over, and you want to take where your heel is, and you want to kind of just push that in and fold it over so you really can't tell it's a sock. I mean, we all know it's a sock, but it's not going to appear as a sock. Okay? And then just adjust it to where you want it and make it look fun. You'll know when it's right. And if it doesn't look right after you've done it, the nice thing is you can readjust your hat. Okay. So now you're going to want to take and fold it over to where it's loopy on one side. So, and then you're going to take your ribbon, and I've got this. And I think with your big ribbon, I gave you enough to do both of your gnomes, two of them at least. And then the little string, you've got some extra. And you just want to come up and tie your bow. And then you cut off any extra, and you can make it any design you want at the end. Okay, so that's one. We're going to set him aside for right now, and then we're going to do the other two hats. And turn my heat gun back up. Got one of those darn things that they put in for the tags that's stuck. And now it pulled a string out of my cute little sock. Okay. And with this one, I've got a white sock. Oh, that's too funny, you know. I like them too. They're so soft. But I know I only wear the ones that go up to your ankles. So these are going to be a little bit, you're going to have a little more room with the little guys. So what I recommend doing is taking and folding it over a couple of times, getting it even. Now you can add all kinds of different decorations to your gnomes once they're done, not just the one flower I sent, but it was a starting point for you. Okay, so I'm going to pull it down just a little bit more, get it set where I want it. But on the little guys, you've got more of a sock, and so you can give him kind of a rim around his brim, sort of say. Okay. So then you want to, once again, wind your heel and kind of push it in to the sock. And fan out your toe some too. That looks good. And I think this ribbon. It's just another thin pink one, but This would be more like the string that I sent with the kits. And once again, just oh, darn. You know what we forgot to do, but we can still do it now. Oh, heck. Okay. Pop the hats off. I'm going to step ahead of myself, but set them aside. Sorry, ladies. Take your hats off or just pull them up. The one thing we need to do is, and this is the tedious part, and it's going to take a while, is we need to uncurl all of these strings. There are usually 4 of them, and you just need to go around and uncurl all of them. And we have to do it so we can put the noses on. So it will take a little while, but once you get the hang of it, it goes a little quicker. Just go around and uncurl them. Sorry, got a little ahead of myself. The hats will slide right back on though. And I tried putting these on and curling them before you put them on, and that doesn't work at all. So putting them on, folded in half, and uncurling them is the way to do this. And while you're doing this, if you have some that, see, like this one pulled off, don't worry about it. Just set it aside because you'll still have plenty. And you might have 3 or 4 around the gnome that come off like that, but that's fine. Just set them aside because we will be using them. So this is the part that takes the longest. And if you got one that's kind of partially attached, I don't think it wants to come off completely. Yeah, it does. That's okay. Just take them off. As long as there's not like 2 or 3 like this one here, it wants to come off, and that would be too many in that spot. So here again, we're just going to add a little bit of glue, and again, that's what this is for, is because you're going to push that one piece down so it stays on there. And you can do that with all of them if you want, if they come off, but I wouldn't unless there's more than one. Kind of boring, I know, but it's what makes them so cute, is this part of it. And just once again to recap for those that joined us late, these pieces down here, they are mops that you get at the dollar store. They come on a handle in your cleaning section, and you just unscrew them from the handle, and then all this stringy stuff, but they come on, and this is what screws into your handle, and then there's a bar across it, in the center that just pops right off. And then you have your whole mop to work with. You know, Linda, I've thought about that because you know what? I've got probably about 50 of those handles. And they're out in my shop. And I don't know what to make with them. I really don't. It seems like quite the waste, but at least they are metal handles. And if I can't figure out anything to make with them, then at least they are recyclable. And so I won't feel so bad about that. How's that? We'll at least recycle them. You know, and I thought, oh, they'd make a good shelf if you put them across for plants or something outdoors. But as Dan pointed out, they're metal. They are going to rust and they are going to look awful if you keep them outdoors. So that idea was struck down. So I'm still thinking. I'm going to twist this one before I glue that down. Otherwise, I'm pulling on it with it wet. And you want to kind of, you're going to need to pull the glue off of your thing. Otherwise, it just sticks to it. That's why I recommended metal. What would you recommend that I make with them, Linda? I could send them to you. Broomsticks for Halloween. That's, hey, and we could make a witch gnome to sit on them, right? With a witch's hat. That's a good idea. So we're getting around there. Like I said, this is the longest, most tedious part of all of this, is uncurling these and making sure they're stuck. Good. Pull that one off. Just want to make sure that they're just not going to pull right off of there when you get the hat on. Yeah, bet he would, Linda. I can't even imagine what he'd think if he ended up with a package full of mop ends, mop sticks being sent to him. But hey, you know, maybe you could use them in the greenhouse. I thought about, you know, they'd make really good garden markers, you know, or poles for your beans and that kind of stuff to grow up on. But, you know, once again, their Dan said, you know, they're going to rust. And is that what you want in your dirt, is rust from metal? And yeah, it wasn't. And we couldn't think of anything safe to coat them with to where they would make them safe. So that was taboo. Thought about just taking them off at the store and leaving the sticks for them. I figured they could get a buck for them too, but she said no. The gal at the store, didn't think that that was a really good idea. So she said, you have to take them with you. But you got quite a few strange looks the day Dan and I went in to pick up after I'd started taking orders on this. We went up in our first round of mops. We picked up 30 of them. And the gal at the counter, we've got them all layered in our cart and we're counting them out for her and everything. And she said, are you putting a lot of people to work? She just couldn't imagine why we were buying all these mops. So it's been fun. Your granddaughter has quite the imagination. Oh, you have to watch out for coyotes when you walk your dog, June Marie. And that's a great idea, Siglindi. Cut them into tubes to make wind chimes. We could do that. Just drill real holes in them. That'd be a really good idea. I'll put that one past my husband. We could spray paint them in all kinds of different colors. Put them on the top of birdhouses or something. That's a good idea. So as you can see, like I said, this is tedious. This is tedious work here. By the time you're done with the third one, you're going to say, why did I want to make these? Oh my gosh, June Marie. I couldn't even imagine. But we've got hawks that come around here and hang out. And they look for rabbits or rats or whatever they can get. And so we can't even let Garcia out back. She's a teacup chihuahua, so she only weighs like 2.5 pounds and resembles a rat. So we fear that if we put her out back, that it's going to be at a time where we've got a hawk and he'll just carry her off. So we have to go outside and stand when she goes outside. Okay, we're almost there. Well, sure, you've got 2 sets of these to make. A lot of times you can find nice socks. I found the ones that are in the kits at Walmart. They had the best selection, but when I went, I thought, no, I'm just going to buy all the same kind. That way I don't have to wonder if I've got ribbon and that kind of stuff, because I had what I had used. So I just went with what I had done, and they seem to have a really good selection of the size of socks that you need. The ones that are ankle length don't work, and I looked at some of the men's socks. They were just kind of blah. And I noticed at our Goodwill and stuff, they have new socks as well that are available there. So it might be a good place to check out for socks. Dollar Tree had some, but they weren't real. Even for $1, I wouldn't have used them. So I went with the better socks. Because after all, it's the socks that just really make the gnome. So cute hats. Now I will, I have pictures of a couple of sets, and I did them kind of alike because they both wanted pretty much the same colors, which was really good. They wanted lavender. Both of them did. So I could buy, 3 pairs of socks and get the 2 sets of gnomes out of them. But I'll post pictures on the page of them because they've all been received by now. Now, this is the most boring part, so if you guys want to go and take a potty break or get something to drink or, I don't know, watch a movie. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead, after I get this one unraveled, we'll go ahead and get it finished with the notes and all that kind of stuff so that you can see it. So in case you don't have time to wait around to see all 3 sets get unraveled, you'll at least see how to finish them. And then you can finish the other 2 as you have time. You're going to find all these glue gun wispies all over. But at least we're not working with glitter. I'm still not a big fan of glitter. Okay, last one, ladies. There it is. All right. You can shake them, and you can shape them when you set them down. So go ahead and put your hat back down. Pull it over top so it covers it and holds that down. Okay, so we're back where we were. I've got his little heel part sticking out. All right, so to put his gnome, you're going to want to see where you've got the crook of his hat, where it comes down. And then you're going to want to part his hair. Okay? Now, I bulk ordered the noses, and they came in completely round. But these are the ones that I had found at Joann's or Michael's when I was first making them. So I saved a set to show you what you could find in the store. And I think they come in a pack of 6. So you'd get 2 sets of gnomes out of each package. Yeah. Grab more coffee. Grab me some too, Shar. Oh, aren't those cute? And then I charged $35 plus shipping for the sets that were pre-made, but I decorated them more. I added more elements to their hats. I have some real crystals that I added to them, and some other flowers and wood butterflies, and so they were really decorated. So, and you can see them on the page, and that's what they were when they were completely made. So if you know of anyone, or if you want me to make you some that are completely made, I'm up for that too. Okay, so with his hair parted, just going to add some glue, quite a bit. And make sure your glue is really hot when you do this. And then you're going to stick him down on the cone, and you're going to push it up for as far as it will go. And then you're going to want to hold it. Okay? Make sure the hot glue dries, and then it's going to stay in place. Of course, I stuck my thumb in it. Okay. Oh, he's going to look like he's got snot on his nose. I'll have to get that cleaned off. Now you can also paint the noses if you want them to be a different color. And it doesn't take long for it to hold. So it's stuck. So it doesn't take too long. And they're pretty sturdy. I've whacked mine. Mine have fallen on the floor. So now these ones that pulled out, this is where they come in handy. And you're going to want to unravel at least 1 or 2 more for all 3 of them. And pull them apart. Okay? So now this is really where you want your metal poker. Let me get mine all cleaned off here. These are really good projects to do while you're sitting and watching TV or just some quiet time. I've got a card table that we can set up in the living room so that I can be out there. So, okay. Now let's fold a couple of these in half like we did the other ones. And then we're going to put some more glue down around the underneath part of his nose. And we're just going to start pushing these extra ones up under the nose. And this you're going to have to kind of work fast because the glue will dry, or don't put that much glue on it. And just push it up underneath. You want them to kind of be layered. That one didn't stick, so obviously need more glue. Oops, I should have cleared this off. Most of the time your glue will dry really quick off your metal poker, and so by the time you get done sticking these on, you should be able to pull the excess glue off. So just keep adding glue until you get it all the way around where it meets. This one doesn't want to stick, it's being a bugger. And of course, you never have problems with something until you're doing a live show and then it wants to be a problem. I think we need one more. Right up in there. Okay. So once you get those done, now if you don't like the look of the thinner hair, I pull some of this around and kind of stick it down to where it touches the nose and kind of fills in. But this, to me, it gives it a look of having that gnome beard. And then once you get it all done, you want to just smooth it all out and just set it on your table and just run your fingers through it until you get it all done. Now you will have enough extra of those strings to where if you don't like some areas that are thin, you can go back up and add some more thickness. And now I'm just going to trim off those little pieces that we just added because they're just a little bit longer than the others. And you can go through and look and see if you've got some that are a little long. Just snip them off. But you shouldn't be able to tell once you set them down on your table that they're long because you're just going to thin them out. Okay? So that is the gnome, and then you can decorate the hat however you want to. Like I said, I have some extra flowers that you can add with the flower that I said. You can add crystals. I have even lined the, you can get hearts, you know, any wood cutouts or wood shapes or anything that you like to decorate the hats with. And they look cute. So let's work on the second one. So we're just gonna uncurl these. There aren't as many on the small ones. Hi, Marilyn. And these would, if you do craft shows or, you know, things like that, they'd be adorable. They'd make a cute teacher's gift, Christmas gifts, if you want to start working on Christmas gifts, Mother's Day, you know, and like I said, if, you know, you're giving it as a gift, you could, you know, look all year and find the seasonal hats to give with it, and maybe decorations, or, you know, you could keep your hats the same And you could just find different embellishments that you can put, um, like a piece of Velcro on the hat, and then you could Velcro the back of whatever embellishment that you wanted to put on for the season. Say that you found a wood shamrock for St. Patrick's Day, or wood hearts for Valentine's Day, a little wood flag or a pin. So there's a lot of things that you could do to decorate this with. My mind just continues to go, oh, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that with these. I don't think that these would be a horrible thing to set out on a covered porch. I have a wagon out on my front porch, and I'm going to set a set of them, you know, when the weather clears up or when I get to Florida, out on my front porch in my wagon. And I have a little lantern with a light on it that's solar powered that comes on when the sun shines. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with these to dress them up through the year. I've also seen these made to look like Santa Clauses rather than gnomes as well. And like I said before, this is not my idea. I did not come up with these. I found quite a few ideas on Pinterest, and I figure if they're on Pinterest, it's to help people with ideas. And I know that if I post something on Pinterest, I don't expect people not to make it if they choose to, you know, or to get inspiration from it. I didn't write down any of the places or the people that had done them because there were many of them. And I needed something to do while we were watching the football playoff games. I liked the games as long as the Seahawks were involved, but once they got uninvolved, they were just games. And I sat down during the Super Bowl and made another set of them. Dan and I always bet on the Super Bowl, and I usually let him pick the team that he wants because he's kind of opinionated sometimes when it comes to things like that. So it's just easier to let him choose, and I take the leftover. And then we do a bet, something easy like I want my car detailed, or you know, he'll want a certain cookie made or something. You know, it's always a deed. It's never something material. And I don't know how many years it's been since I've lost. So he never picks the winner. So this year I'm getting my car detailed again. It needs it. It's going to get a real good detailing because it's going to get traded in on something we can drive cross country. I have a 2002 Dodge Durango, and it's just getting ready to hit 100,000 miles. So needless to say, I don't drive a whole lot. But it'll be a good trade-in. It's in good shape. You don't typically find that low miles on that year of a car. So I was going to have one of these all done and just ready to go, one of the small ones. So all we had to do was glue it on and not unfurl it, but I didn't get to that. It's almost as exciting as watching paint dry. But at least it has quit snowing and it did turn to rain. So that's a good thing. And you know, I saw someone that had on one of these taken and cut out some felt bunny ears and put them on there, and then added dollar store right now has these adorable orange paper mache type carrots that they set around with some Easter eggs around them. Set them up on a box with the front part of the box out to where the eggs could fill up the front of the box, and then the middle one had ears on them, and the other one had an orange nose painted on him. I wouldn't paint my noses orange though. So who's falling asleep watching me do this? Come on, confess. I think that's part of the reason I don't. Wake up, Sigourney. Wake up, wake up. I know you did, Jackie. I haven't made a scrapbook or done a scrapbook page in many years. And it was really sad because I have sat down the last few months because I thought, well, you know, I could do some card kits again. And I'm sorry, but I just couldn't come up with cards that would even be fit to think I could put them in a kit. I mean, they just, so I think I was surprised when so many people wanted to do the um, gnomes, because I hadn't found anything that was crafty in so long, but who says we have to work with paper, right? Except I have so much paper to get rid of. So one thing when you get started in paper crafts is you need every single paper pack that comes down the pike. Gotta have it. Oh, I could do this with it, and I could do that with it. Well, here sits all that paper, and I couldn't get it all done. Sure, once we get settled. figured in Florida we're probably changing our winters for summers, where summers will be spent more inside doing the inside crafts when it's warm, like we do our winters here. Let's pull that one out. Yeah. We're almost around. These are taking less time. Gnomes really are in right now. And I tried to resist. Really, I did. I saw them all through Christmas, and I thought, no, I'm not going for gnomes for Christmas. I do Santa Claus, or I do snowmen. Snowmen are my Christmas thing. I'm not going to swap it out for gnomes. And then I got stuck. I got hooked. But I thought, I could do some just for every day. They would fit in with my decorations, and I wouldn't have to do a whole slew of them, but just one set to just be cuteness. Okay, let's get this last set done. I'll whip them out really fast. The last one didn't take too long. It was pretty quick. I think I saw just a peek of it. Was it through Authentique that did that? I know I have a silhouette cameo, and I watch for a lot of their designs in their store that you can buy. And they've got a ton of gnomes in there. In fact, those are what I use to cut out the gnomes for the cards I set with the kids. And I've seen a lot of people do vinyl signs with them, cut them out in vinyl and put them on wood for on their porches or inside their house. No place like home, hanging with the gnomies. There's just a lot of really cute ones, a lot of Valentine ones, some, but a lot that you can just cut out with your cutters, which I'm tempted. You know what? I'm sure that most houses are climate controlled with the air conditioning. Would probably help keep my paper. But I'm really only gonna, try to take a minimal amount of paper with me. I'd like to sell the 350,000 sheets that I have here before I go, and just take a smattering of that I know that I'll use with me. But I'm not quite sure what the humidity. Annette, what's it like for you in Texas with the humidity and paper? Does it have any effect on it? Um, no, the paper, the actual paper line with gnomes on it, Julie, is from Authentique. I don't have it, but I do have a silhouette, and I find that they have lots of images in the silhouette store for the electronic cutter. that I can get um, that are cute. So they're two different things. Did that make sense? But I think it's either I think it is either Authentique or Photoplay that has put the gnome paper out right now. I've seen it. Somebody posted it online, but I'm not quite sure who. I still follow those pages, even though I don't actively supply things anymore. But the cards that I made were with my silhouette, and the gnomes were cut out. They were printed and then cut with my silhouette. Yeah, my thing is, I do like Graphic 45, but there was a um, company back when I had my brick and mortar store called Chatterbox. I don't know if any of you remember, uh, and I forget the gal's name. She does more inspirational um, speaking now rather than she got out of the paper business. Uh, but I love their papers, the texture of it, and they had done some cardstock patterns, and they had a double-sided paper that was just scrumptious, and they had such beautiful patterns, and they weren't all these blockish type. They were more florally and had some of your checks and stripes and just different patterns that were very usable. And so when I closed my store, I ordered in packs of their papers so that I could keep them. And I still have quite a few of them, but I, there's just something about it that I still go to those papers when I'm trying to make a birthday card, or I like to scrapbook with them. They just make good backgrounds. They're not real um, full of distractions. They're just good background papers. But those are the ones that'll be moving with me because I still have lots. So you do have to put those little bags in with your stuff. They're print and cuts. But Dan and I'd really like to get into when he retires is um, sign making, with vinyl and painted signs and that kind of stuff, and just little cute little signs that you see around. We'd like to do that, but the market, it seems to be pretty flooded with that stuff. Those signs like you can get at Hobby Lobby for 50% off, and that kind of stuff. We're almost there, ladies. Don't fall asleep on me yet. Can see the end. Last one. Okay. Now we can continue. Now we can make our gnomes cute. Put this guy's hat back on, and I left it all rolled up and folded, so it should go on pretty easy. It did. Okay, so let's add his nose, and then we'll work on the last one. So you're going to want to put him to where his hat hangs to the side and split the hair. Add the glue, stick it down and push it up. Ouch, that glue's hot. Now, if you're going to want to remove the hat, you want to make sure that your stocking is not glued down. Okay? So we're going to take some more of these. And pull them apart. And do one more. You know, I have one of those roller brushes that I use because they are fuzzies. And surprisingly enough, all three of those gnomes, I only went through one glue stick. So it really doesn't take a whole lot of glue to make these. Stick that up under his nose, however you can. I have to turn my glue gun down because it's really melting the styrofoam. And you don't want to use the real thick ones that'll pull off underneath the nose. I think it'd just make it look funny. So make sure the ones you grab for under the nose are all about the same size, thickness. I want one more over on this side. And you'll know when you've got enough on yours and what you like. Okay. So there's that one. We're just gonna pull his hair forward a little. And you can put, if you want them to go across like that, you can put a little bit of glue along the side and stick the fibers down around his nose like that so that they stay. So now we're just going to go and trim off those longer ones that we just put on. And there's your small gnome, one of them. And like I say, you can, I'm going to pull his hat down because I like the look of the stocking pushing his nose up. More like that. So let's put the stocking on the third one and get his nose on it. And then I'm going to leave the decorating up to you guys. And then I want you to post pictures of your finished gnomes on the Facebook page with how you've decorated them. Because I know you're going to add more stuff to them. You just have to. They're just too cute. This one I think I'm going to leave really bunchy. It's like I say, you've got quite a bit on these little gnomes with these stockings. And one of the things that you can also do, and I might do that right now, is take some ribbon, a little bit of hot glue right here. That's up a little too far. Okay. And I'm not sure if you use double stick tape, if that would work. So just put a little bit of glue on your ribbon. Oh, it didn't stick back here. I'll have to go back there when I get done here. I'll have to put a flower on there. Dress him up a little bit. What did I do with my little scissors? A little too hot to touch. Okay, so now we have a little bit of a rim around his hat. Pull the strings off. And then I'm going to take the other pink ribbon because I think it'll show up better on the black. Trim your ends down a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to grab our last nose, split the hairs. Oh, go ahead and post that, Siglinda. I think that would just be hilarious. As many things I've done, now I can add dressing my friends across the country with socks. Make sure your hat's not stuck. And then I will decorate these afterwards, and I'll post a picture of my finished ones done too. How's that? So now we're gonna add the last of it. You'll have to post the pictures of the socks you actually find to dress them in too. I feel like I'm hurting him. Poking his nose like this. Poor guy. Okay. I'm gonna pull his hair back down and around. Trim him off a little bit. My ribbon slipped. I'll have to glue that down a little bit better. And there we have our 3 gnomes. That's the basics of it. Let me see. I'll put something behind here so you can. There's 1. There's 2. And there's 3. So those are your gnomes. And that's how you make them. So I hope you enjoyed this video and the time spent was so much fun. Like I say, it's been a long time since I've done a video on anything, and so it was good to do, and I appreciate the time you've spent with me. And I will get these finished being decorated and get some pictures up on the Facebook page of how I did it. If you want to review, if you didn't work along, I did record this, so it'll take me a little while to get it converted and up on the page. But that's where you'll find it, and probably in the next few days I will probably upload it to my YouTube, and I will post a link to that in the on the page as well, so that you can have it whenever you want. So thank you for joining me. It's been a lot of fun. They are just really cute. I've missed you all, and hopefully I can come up with something else to do so that we can have some more time together. So embellish those gnomes and show me what you made. Have a good day. Bye-bye.